Seats. I will call this meeting to order. Happy New Year's. Today is January 8th, 2024, and I will start with the moment of silence. So everyone can please stand. All right, thank you. Councilwoman Abreu, please, with the pledge. All right, at this time, I will accept the motion to approve the agenda or with any substitutes.
I'll make the motion to approve, Izzy.
Got a motion, a second. Seeing no further discussions. There we go. Calling the vote. He's just confirming. There we go. Ayes have it, so moved unanimously. All right, proclamations. 1A and B will be pushed to the next agenda on January 22nd, and that brings us up to 1C, which is the presentation for permitting process.
Just to give a little background on this, I'm the one that asked Panhandle Permitting to be here tonight. We had a lot of contractors that were making claims that the city of Destin is more difficult to get a permit than others. I've contacted several contractors, including Bob Black with Adventure Development, some very long-time contractors, very respected in this area. A few of the contractors referred me to Panhandle Permitting because they pull permits all the way from Escambia County to Bay County, so that's their job. They pull them throughout the entire Panhandle on a daily basis, so they'll be able to kind of go over that a little bit and answer some of these questions, and then we can ask and make sure, reassure that our team is doing a great job.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And thank you for being here. If you just want to come up, push the button, the gray button, it'll make the light red. Name and address, even though I think we don't need it with you being a presentation, but go ahead.
My name's Julie Shepard with Panhandle Permitting. Address would be 50 Waterview Cove, Report Ford.
And the floor is yours.
So like I said, my name's Julie with Panhandle Permitting, and as Tori shared, we do pull permits from Bay County to Escambia. Each municipality is very different, but very much the same. I see pretty much the same complaints from each municipality, and that's a standard with one being owner builds, individuals that just don't have the knowledge of things. There's no reason for them necessarily. They're not in the business. So how would they know what an energy form is, for example, or how to obtain product approval codes? Although things can get holed up if they don't have these things. That's no one's fault but their own. So if they can find someone to help them that is familiar with doing these things on a daily basis, maybe a contractor or someone that works within an office that does it on a daily basis, or hiring a company such as mine to do it for them, it would take care of all of that. Another thing that we see is contractors from out of state that have hired someone to do their plans, either an engineer, architect, designer, that are just not familiar with the things for the entire state of Florida, not just our local municipalities. Obviously, it's for our own protection. Have fun pulling a permit in Dade County after Andrew leveled it. I was just chatting today with a gentleman, and he was providing me with so much information, and he was like, oh, I just thought it was standard for the state of Florida. So having said that, our municipalities are really just, it's standard procedure, and if there are complaints, they're generally just because people don't understand, they're not prepared, or they're just getting anxious to have something done yesterday. I can tell you that Destin is definitely no more difficult. If anything, it's been easier. It's a smaller municipality where everyone has been more than helpful and super respectful to everyone that I've spoken to and dealt with personally. So I very much appreciate that, and I'm hoping that others understand how well they have it. We do get a lot of individuals coming here from surrounding states that don't even require permits, so they get frustrated. Some areas of Alabama and Tennessee, why do I have to go through all of this for a permit? So we just need to give them a link to South Florida, and then maybe they'll understand. At any rate, again, City of Destin, like I said, has been nothing but helpful, professional, and no speed bumps that are unnecessary if there are any complaints.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Councilman Guile, take it away.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ms. Shepherd, for coming up here. And I wanted to just specify, so I've kind of taken a personal interest in this because I am a contractor in this area. And I've seen complaints on, what is it, back door, whatever that neighborhood thing is, what's it called? Next door, there you go. That's what it seems like. But even on there, they're complaining that our city isn't giving them permits fast enough. As I delve into it deeper, turns out it's an out-of-state contractor, not licensed to pull a permit. A lot of the complaints that I've investigated personally have been unlicensed contractors that are having difficulty pulling permits. So I just wanted to reiterate how much I appreciate Ms. Shepherd for coming out here, explaining her business so that these people that are having the trouble understand there are companies out there that can help them accomplish this goal and stop bad-mouthing our community and our staff members that are working so hard to do their job effectively and efficiently.
All right, Councilman Schmidt, anything to add? All right, well, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. If you can just hit that button for me to turn off the light. Thank you. We'll get echoes. Awesome. And Councilman Guile, thank you for bringing that up. It's easy to send an email when you're mad and you have some energy to burn off, but I've personally have gotten several positive feedbacks from people either in person or in emails directly to me, and I've made sure the staff knows and make sure they get them. So I think a good compliment kind of outweighs a bad one 10 to 1, just because it takes effort to do something good when there's nothing you're trying to get out of it. So I really appreciate our staff and everything they've done. Louis, you and your team, Ms. Bell, everyone over there. So thank you guys so much for your guys' time. All right, moving right along, consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, public comments. You guys have weathered the storm out here against probably some county officials. Anyone here in the public comments wish to speak? 3 minutes. Pure entertainment, love it. All right, moving right along, consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Seeing no further discussions, calling the vote. Ayes have it unanimously. So moved. 4A, Mr. City Interim Manager, Louis Nguzzi.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening to you and the council members, and Happy New Year. The first item we have for you this evening is the contract for the interim city manager. And I'll turn this over to city attorney and our HR director to address any questions that you may have.
All right, Kim?
I'm here for questions. I think I've talked with most of you about it. It is pretty similar to when Lance was the interim. This was taken from his contract. The only difference is that Louis, the way this is proposed, would be acting as both interim city manager and continue as community development director. So he has Lance's old salary plus a 15% additional amount for the community development director.
All right, if anyone has discussions, I did keep the other one on, Councilman Bagby.
So when you say Lance's old salary, you're talking about what he had after 5 years of being the city manager?
Correct,
right?
his current, as of his last day, correct.
Okay. All right.
All
I'll
right,
make a motion to approve the proposed interim city manager contract effective January 2nd, 2024.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussions? Seeing none, calling the vote. Oh, we had such a good flow. All right, down the line. Councilman Guile? On the record.
Yes.
Councilman Destin?
Yes.
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 All right, ayes have it unanimously. So moved.
Excuse me, Mayor, I just wanted to note that while it says Matthew Sweetster is absent, he is participating remotely because he's sick. He can't vote, though.
Okay. Good to have you online, Councilman Sweetser. All right, so we'll get through that. And so 4B, Mr. Lindsay.
Yes. 4B is for the contract renewal for the maintenance of our medians. And we have the Public Services Director to address that issue for you.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. Up for your consideration this evening is I believe, the final renewal for Zick Outdoors, who have been maintaining our medians for us since the summer of 2020. I think there are three options on the table this evening. One is just to give them a one-year renewal, just standard practice. The other two would be, I believe there was a combination motion to direct the city manager to have staff prepare a request for bids for these services moving forward, and then keeping Zick on for a 6-month period. And then the other option being as well to have staff develop a cost estimate to bring those services in-house.
All right. Councilman Schmidt, up first.
Sure, I'm going to go ahead and throw a motion out there, and this is not either of the recommended motions, so I'll say it a little bit slower, just in case anybody, can't hear me. I'd like to move to authorize the city manager to execute a 6-month contract extension with Zick Outdoors through June 30th, 2024, and to direct the city manager to advertise an RFB for the services, as well as direct the city manager to bring back budget information on in-house services, all by May 2024.
I'll second that.
Man, read my mind. All right, motion and a second. There's a new recommend
And that was done to kind of combine the two,
B,
basically.
yeah, 2 and 3.
Sure, go ahead.
All right, up first, Councilman Bagby.
Yeah, my question is, why they would do a 6-month thing, which then leaves us without a contractor for a period of time. Number two, 6 months means that we end at the end of June, which is right in the middle of growing season and right in the middle of our busiest season. And because then we would be doing, I'm not sure why we wouldn't be doing an RFP versus an RFB, because if you're putting it out to more than one person, it's going to be an RFP. But be that as it may, then on a staff, my view is right now, we've got two things that are limiting factors in our performance. We don't have a bunch of excess money, okay, because we've borrowed to the hilt for good reasons that we all, or most all of us, agree to, and the availability of staff bandwidth, okay? You heard me mention it last time, talking about the LDC, which we're more than a year behind, okay? We've got the guy who's going to be running the landscaping or overseeing the landscaping. I don't think you still have a deputy yet, do you? Okay, so we're going to ask him to do, besides all the other things he's working on, the R&R plan and some of this other stuff, in the middle of when we have to have people out there maintaining, in our busiest season, maintaining the medians and the right-of-way. We're going to say, oh, well, you need to be working on an RFP or an RFB, and going through that entire process of publishing it, reviewing it, getting the bids in, having a bid committee go through it, and hopefully having somebody on board by July 1st. I just think we're jamming our staff up for no reason to and I'm not sure why. I mean, yeah, they could probably do better, but let's fix this logically and in a process here, as opposed to just trying to jam this fix through. So I'm going to make an alternative motion, or a substitute motion, I'm sorry, which is more closely linked to the recommended motion to authorize the city manager to execute the proposed contract extension from January 1st to 2024 through December 31st, 2024, and to bring us back the draft RFP by the middle of the summer, so that we can incorporate it in the budget process, so that we can incorporate it in our fiscal year 25 planning process. It just seems more logical. I mean, if there's a reason we just need to jam this thing through and put this extra effort on the staff in the next 5 months, I'm willing to listen. I just don't see it. So that's my substitute motion.
Second that. And my
Button.
comment on my next. Okay, I'm going to second that substitute, and my comment would be much the same. If I just given them 6 months, now we're in the middle of summer, and piling a bunch of stuff on the staff that they don't need in the middle of summer. And I take it your motion is going to allow them to come back with an alternative to do it in-house? Or is
Yes.
it-
Yeah, all
And-
that is
yeah.
the same as Kevin's, but
That's
I'm
it.
just saying,
I'm willing to listen to the alternative, but I find it hard to believe that we're going to be able to do it cheaper in-house and hire full-time employees, but I'm certainly willing to listen, but 6 months is too tight a time frame.
All right, I have a motion and a second. I will continue on. That was Councilman Destin. All right, Councilman Schmidt, back to you.
So basically, you're doing the same thing, just 12 months instead of 6. Do you have a timeline that you want to see the draft RFP or bringing it in-house numbers over the next 12 months, or 11 and a half?
I think my motion said middle of the summer, did it not? Okay,
No.
yeah, the middle of the summer is when I expect to see. That will give them time, and that's not bidding it out, or that's just drafting it, having the staff review it, and then having us review it, and then we can publish it after that. But we can also incorporate it, where we get the bids by the end of this
Right, so-
fiscal year, yeah.
Okay, I got it, thank you. My only response to that, and Mr. Destin, and some comments, I mean, one, the in-house numbers have somewhat been generated already. And two, I don't think all city functions are gonna just come to a halt, putting an RFP out in 6 months and things like that. I don't think we should just say we need to not jam anything down the staff's throats. I think the staff's capable of doing that in 6 months. But lastly, if you haven't driven around and seen what the contract says they're supposed to do, when you said you haven't seen, I mean, they're not doing the job they're supposed to be doing. And so, to me, a 6 month might put pressure on them to get their acts together, because we've been paying them to do a job that they're not completing. I mean, the long and short of it, in my opinion. So we haven't changed anything in this contract since it first was written in 2020. And everything just goes downhill with the care that we're receiving in mine and other citizens' opinions about our median work and everything else. So, it is what it is. Sure, 12 months, but I would like to see something sooner than later, because this particular company does not provide a level of service according to their contract. So that's my only thought to that.
All right, Councilman Guile?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I tend to agree with Councilman Schmidt on this one. I mean, looking at the contract we have before us, it was signed in July, so it's nothing new for them to evaluate this in the middle of summer. It's not like this is out of the ordinary. Two, based off our strategic planning and visioning, we state that we want locals first, local businesses second. This business is out of Defuniak Springs, so if we're going to follow what we set as our goals, I think we should at least open this up for more local businesses to apply. And I realize that, based off conversations previously, we've only had 2 applicants in the past, but I think that there would be more since the past 3 or 4 years that would be more willing to bid this. So, and I also agree with the fact that it does not seem that some of these medians, some of these other areas are being maintained appropriately, in my opinion. So I'm going to lean towards the 6-month with Councilman Schmidt based off those.
Councilman Bagby.
So this question is for Michael and Lewis, the contract overseers. Have we put in writing the deficiencies? Can you tell us what has been done to notice the contractor that they are not performing as expected, and what corrective action they have taken, or what action we have taken?
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to. We've been working, of course, with Zick since 2020, and they have gone through leadership changes a couple of times. So as far as field operations supervision, I believe the team that we have now, Rick Larrick is their operations manager. I've met with him several times, had many phone conversations with him. We actually had a ride-around back on December 12th, and I think they're committed to providing us exemplary service for the remainder of the contract now, since they have a new team in place. However, I would offer an alternative perhaps to the 6-month versus 12-month. If we could extend it 9 months, that would get us through the end of the fiscal year. And if we make a decision to move one way or the other, it could start October 1st versus midsummer. And October 1st, it's still growing season, but we're getting into dormancy.
What a good spirit of compromise. Thank you, Michael.
That's why I'm here, Mayor.
Councilman Destin, following up that.
On that note, if Councilman Bagby would change his substitute to 9 months, then I will change my second.
Substitute change, Teresa Hebert, Councilwoman?
Well, my suggestion was going to be move it to October, so great minds think alike. Thanks, Michael.
All right. Councilman King, did I get you in there? I got happy with the button there. Sorry about that. All right. I see no further discussions. Yep, my only comments that I saw going through there is they have 3 work days and then 1 flex day on that contract. So when we go through and hopefully do our hard line itemization and amortization chart for in-house, it looks like they're able to do all this work in 3 days with 1 flex day on the week. So just wanted to throw that out there as when I was kind of combing through their contract. So with that, I will call to a vote the substitute motion. All right, King, you're in. Here. There we go. There we go. Ayes have it unanimously. Compromise always prevails. So moved. All right. City Manager.
Item C, 4C is for the council to consider a motion to consider the rescission of their prior council directive regarding the undergrounding project. The city attorney has got all the details relating to that issue.
Hey, Councilman Bagby?
Yeah, I'm just pulling up the recommended motion. There's not a whole lot. I think the staff did a good job on the read ahead, and I'll eventually get down here through the Zick contract forever. Teresa, if you've got it, go ahead. Okay.
I move to consider rescission of the prior council directive to negotiate a contract with ADS and have a motion to rescind this action, consider at the next council meeting on January 22nd, 2024.
I'll second.
All right, got motions and seconds. Seeing no further discussion. Calling the vote. All right, ayes have it unanimously so moved. Moving right along, 4E.
Mayor, 4E and 4,
Sorry, 4D.
okay. Okay, 4D and 4E and F are all informational items for you. If you got any questions, I think our finance director will be happy to answer them.
Councilman Schmidt?
Yeah, I just wanted to put on record the TDC monthly report, just for the record's sake, that at the end of the year, the city of Destin brought in gross revenues of nearly $74 million to the county, and the tax due on that is $4.4 million out of a total of $7.55 from the city of Destin. So thank you to all the people that collect bed tax and report it, and look forward to continuing to figure out ways to use that for the city of Destin.
All right, appreciate it. The only thing, just to bring up, the crosstown and the PD&E decision by council needed. Jeff, can you just, I'm sorry, this has probably been something that I see on the side, but I just wanted to bring it up as far as where we're at and where we need to be for the crosstown PD&E.
Sure. Atkins is going to be here at our next meeting, and they're going to present those options to council and have a discussion.
Thank you. Councilman Bagby.
Yeah, y'all produced this, we're on 4E now, right? Yes. Okay.
Any of the information.
We're kind of jumping around here, so I just, y'all give this to us monthly? And so I would just ask, I think we can incorporate this in Mr. Giles' monthly or bi-monthly update, since it's all here in front of us. If you have some specific ones that you wanted to highlight or a question or whatever, I think this would actually be a great time. That way we're all on kind of the same sheet of music, you know, on your projects? Yes, sir. Oh, okay. So.
I can add whatever you need to add. I don't know.
I think he's just saying we could basically merge this if this
Yeah,
is
we
a
can
monthly
merge
report.
these. I mean, this is our monthly report on our project status. And so if you had some that you wanted to highlight or whatever for the folks that you were asking, we could highlight them while we're here, because we have the numbers in front of us and we have the status, what we hope is the latest status. And then that way it just kind of saves us a little time every month. Page 315 of 349 is what I'm looking at, but.
For some reason, my computer stalled out on the internet. I just got 0 for the packet.
Here you go. Tori?
I got it.
You got it? Yep, that's it. Okay.
I would use some time to compare it back and forth.
Hit your mic.
I said, I need time to kind of compare this back and forth because I didn't anticipate that request, but I'll withhold the updates this month or this meeting so that we can figure this out.
Yeah. Awesome. No, I think it'll be a good
Well, I just like.
combination.
I'm sorry. I just like it where the numbers are in front of us and what the staff's, as opposed to doing an offline or a additional, that way I can, if he wants to talk about the Crystal Beach acquisition and development, I know how much was budgeted, I know how much has been spent or encumbered so far, and I know what the staff says as opposed to just trying to follow what's going on. I just think it'd make it easier for all of us to
Yeah.
be up to date.
Yeah, and I know where you're coming from, because that's kind of what I do every month when I see this. Is I'm just looking at the notes. I'm like, all right, has anything moved? What hasn't moved? Is anything not moved in a year? You know, that's always where I go to get the basics. All right, I will move right along. We are at TDC monthly report. We got all that. Any announcements?
Yes, I do have a few for you. The first one has to do with the code compliance, our department, hosting a short-term rental property management collaboration meeting, and that is to take place here at the annex on January 11 at 1 p.m. The second item that I have for you is on January 19th is Florida Arbor Day, and we'll be planting a tree, a red buckeye at Leonard Destin Park in honor of that event. The planting will occur at 10 a.m. Just to remind you that city offices will be closed on Monday, January 15th, in honor of the Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Also a reminder that our next council meeting will be on January 22nd. Next item is next week, Wednesday, January the 24th. The public will be invited to a meeting here at the Annex to discuss the process for the vulnerability assessment planning effort that the city is embarking on. Experts will be available at hand to answer any questions that the public may have. The next item is staff is proposing to have this year's visioning session during the week of February 26th. Our preference will be February 29th to prepare for an update of the strategic plan for the year 2024. I have for your information what constitutes that process. And staff and I will be meeting in these coming weeks to prepare for that session, and I hope to be meeting with each one of you, but at least the handouts that I have here will give you a sense of what that process is all about. Okay.
Awesome.
There are two handouts, one of each. Yeah. With respect to the date, I just want to have a sense from council whether that would work or you would prefer a different date.
Works for me anytime that week, but that day is fine too.
Yeah, I'd love to do it on a leap day and do it on the extra day of the year.
Thursday, the 29th, that works great.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can get with staff and really confirm that date. All right, awesome. Thank you so much.
A few.
Oh, well, keep on rolling then.
Just two more, real quick. For your information, the Christmas parade collected enough toys to help 40 families and over 100 individuals. So that was a great effort, and thank you to Lisa for all her efforts and her staff. The final item I have for you is the reminder I did send to you all last month, which is like last year, a prioritization list for all the mobility projects. This is a culmination of all the efforts that we had with the public, as well as the committees to review and prioritize those projects. It's now your turn to review those. We'll begin briefings in February, and hopefully we can get the plan adopted sometime before the summer. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. That's all great news. All right, seeing that we have no public hearings, we will move right along. When are we going to be doing the nominations? I have it under my report. Oh, under your name. Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll start 6, Councilman Sweetser, hang on in there. 6B, Councilman Guile.
Councilmember Sweetster is here.
Oh, okay. Can you hear us? I can always come back to him. We'll give him a little bit of time. All right, gotcha. He's there. As always. Must be the rain. We're ahead of schedule, so you just take your time. Yeah, you guys, I don't want to lose this Vegas bet here, so you gotta just take 30 minutes if you need to.
We're going to skip him.
All right, we'll go right back to him then. Councilman Guile.
Okay, I would like to put on the motion for next council meeting to discuss the rescinding the termination of Isaac Birch from Parks and Rec. There was a little bit of confusion based off of information that was presented to council and information that was on the Parks and Rec's attendance sheet that we saw. I've spoken with Isaac on several occasions since that date. He wants to be active. He is absolutely going to be active in that moving forward. And there was, like I said, some misinformation that I was a little premature in making that motion. So I'd like to make the motion to put that on the next council session.
Okay. Motion and a second, calling the vote. All right, ayes have it unanimously, so moved.
Point of order, though, Mayor, I don't think the council person has to.
I didn't think so, but I was just going to let them have it, yeah.
Anyway,
It was already unanimous, so I was like, all right, double confirmed.
All right.
You could have probably made the motion tonight, though.
Yeah, do you want to make the motion tonight to put them back on?
If we're good with
Yeah, you're
that,
allowed to. Yep.
then I'll make the motion to reinstate him.
There you go.
All right, calling the vote again to put them back on.
are we voting?
Yep.
I'm trying.
You're in. All right, ayes have it, so moved. He is back on the committee.
Congratulations, Mr. Birch.
There we go.
And I do understand Councilman Bagby mentioned combining those two, my Excel sheet or my tracking with this TDC, or this monthly report that we get. But two things I do want to bring up. One, hydro dredging, we do have an update on that. And I know that's a topic of concern, so if Ryan could just please kind of quickly go over that, I think it's important that the parties involved at least hear that tonight. And it gets us more time towards Mayor Wagner's time.
Earlier is better.
Yeah, we have some numbers in to figure out how much cubic yardage needs to be taken out of the channel. So we are in the process of trying to get costs associated to those numbers and get those costs in front of city council to discuss where we go next with this. So that's where we're at right now.
You stated that the initial cost estimates were somewhere between $350,000 to $500,000 roughly, but we don't have a firm number on that.
Correct. That's a very preliminary number. I'm trying to call around to different contractors in the Panhandle to try to see if we can get better numbers.
All right, but at least it lets people up here have an idea. The second thing, the only other thing that was brought up, and I have a witness that was brought up today at lunch with me because I was at lunch with the city attorney, Kim Kopp, and they approached me about the pickleball. Thankfully, Bobby has created enough uproar about pickleball that people bother me at lunch, asking me questions about pickleball.
Welcome to my life.
So, do we know where we stand with the pickleball courts?
Both are in committees this month, going to Parks and Public Works, and I don't know when it's going to be coming to us for the 30% approval.
All right, the rest I will concede to Mr. Bagby's request.
I'll read my notes. I got you guys, thank you. Is Councilman Sweetser on now?
Yeah, if you give me a second, I'll see if I can get him on here.
All right, Councilman Sweetser.
Counselor, you can try to speak. There's a lag in between when you speak and when we hear. I'm sorry, I don't know what the problem is. Yeah, we can do the chat.
All right, well-
I'll coordinate that with him right now.
Okay, that's the
Sorry
main
about
part.
that.
All right, Councilman Destin, you got anything for us tonight?
Someone's yellow lab was struck and killed on Kelly, close to where we're going to put the four-way stops. And I want to thank the sheriff's department for covering the dog up so that it was not nearly as traumatic as it would have been. But I just need an update from Public Works on our stop signs.
Sure, they've been ordered. Expected delivery is between February 15th and the 21st. Once they notify us that they've shipped, we'll go ahead and start taking some preliminary actions to prep that intersection for the four-way. We'll go ahead and put out our variable message boards alerting the public of the changing traffic condition there. So they'll have a week or week and a half's notice, so it won't be a surprise that day. Once they arrive, we'll install them, bag them, and we'll have a couple of days lag. And the notification about when it'll go live will be on the variable message board. Today, I feel like the luckiest man in the world, but anyway. That morning of go live, we will put the thermo down, we'll put in the advanced warning signs, the stop ahead signs, and we'll unbag them real early in the morning so it won't, happen when school's,
Yep.
taking in.
Thanks for the update.
Right.
And I do have one other update for Councilor Guile about the Four Prong Lake. That activity is going to commence the week of the 22nd of January.
On that topic, them just taking down the gazebo, does that have anything to do with it, or is that just two separate? Okay.
The pump was out bad and had.
Okay, great. All right, Councilman Guile, anything else? I'm sorry.
Passed me a long time ago.
I know, just making sure. Councilman Bagby.
Oh, several things. Thanks for the update. So when you say it's in the two committees, I assume that's the 30% design, I'm going back, I'm sorry, to the pickleball courts. The 30% designs are in front of the Parks and Rec and the Public Works and Safety Committee? That's your update?
Correct.
Okay, so that's, first thing I have is the Recreational Foundation. We have found finally some folks, and I'm going to ask the council to approve these initial members. This is not a direct support organization of the city. This is not in any way part of the city or the city committee structure, other than we have agreed to work closely with them, and I think in the end, they will work closely with us to raise money, to do programs, or to seek donations of land that can then be either improved upon by the city or maybe even donated to the city, which would be their decision entirely on their own. And it's taken me a little time to assemble a team. I've got 6 firm commits, and I've talked to 2 others, but I want us to approve the 6 firm commits just to show our goodwill that we're going to work with these folks. They're not working for us, but we're going to help them. I envision in the first year or 2, they might need some space to hold meetings, that we would accommodate them, or that they might need a little staff assistance in filling out some forms or things like that, but nothing where it would be seen that they are actually underneath. So I'm going to nominate Parker Destin, Jay Howard, Sandy Trammell, Michelle Burr, Chatham Morgan, Lance Johnson, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the 6 that I have. I've talked to 2 other folks that have some financial acumen, but I'm going to let that board figure out which one that they want to do. So I'm going to make that motion to put those folks on the foundation board. Without the feedback.
We can hear you now, Counselor Sweetser.
All right, second from Councilman Destin. Seeing no further discussions. Oh, Councilman Schmidt?
yeah.
Yep.
I'm just a little curious. I mean, do we have any details about what the board, the contract, length of term, their service, what they're doing? I mean,
They determine that. I'm sorry. They get to determine that. We don't determine that. Having set up a couple of these boards, like the Rosemary Beach Foundation and some others, you have to have at least 3 to set one up, and then they take it from there. Okay. When we set up the Rosemary Beach Foundation, we gave them an office space actually in our building, and we gave them, I think, like $25,000.
So this is the start of it, and they'll get together,
Yeah,
and
they get
they'll
together,
build
they
the
set it up.
constitution or
Yes,
whatever, all that stuff.
They'll make everything.
They set up their terms, they set up their everything,
Right.
who's their president, their chair, or whatever.
Thank you for the explanation.
Yeah.
All right, seeing no one else, I'll call the vote. Oh, man. Ayes have it, so moved. Thank you so much. I'm excited for that.
Defer to Councilman Sweetser to do his, so then we can turn him back off. So we don't have to do the feedback, but I do have a couple more things.
Good deal. All right, Councilman Sweetser? Yeah, does he just have the nomination? or-
It sounds like we're not able to get him on voice. I'm sorry about that, but he would like to nominate Jason Belcher to the City Manager Committee.
For the committee? All right, I got you. All right.
Thank you. Second thing, do we have, since we've moved Arbor Day up, because we normally celebrate our Arbor Day in April, like the last April, do we have a proclamation?
gonna do the
Okay.
April.
Okay, we're just planting a tree then later this month? We're not actually
Correct.
having our Arbor Day celebration?
We're gonna have our regular Arbor celebration in April.
Okay.
So,
'Cause-
yes,
And I know you know, but to maintain our status as a tree city, you have
We-
to have 4 things, and one of those is a proclamation.
That's
And
right.
so I was just going to authorize the mayor to update last year's proclamation to make sure that we hit all 4 things besides just planting a tree, but
Right.
okay.
but no, we'll submit the proclamation for the April.
Yeah, 'cause
Arbor
January
Day.
is Florida
Is
Arbor Day.
Florida's Arbor
Yeah.
Day.
Okay, and then the last thing is just on the strategic planning, notice even number of years, the short meeting, do you anticipate that just being the morning of the 29th, or like 9 to 2, or what, do we
Yeah,
have an idea?
Yeah, well, right now, in talking with staff, we're looking at the morning,
Okay,
afternoon, yeah.
okay, because that's, and a lot of us work up here, that's kind of important to know. What half of the day I got to commit. Thank you very much.
All right, Councilwoman Abear.
Thanks, Mayor. A couple things, just, I know there's not a lot of people watching online tonight, but those that are, please don't put your trash out tonight. The winds and overnight temporary weather conditions, just please get up early and move them out to the street. We don't need any projectiles that are already out there. Other than that, hope everyone is safe and secure tonight, and that's all, Mayor.
All right, thank you so much. Councilman King.
Nothing for me tonight. Thank you, sir.
Councilman Schmidt.
Sure, just touch on the visioning session I have here on my agenda. I didn't know Mr. Zinguzzi was going to be bringing it up as well. I will just add, though, Mr. Bagby, that in my opinion, I hope staff and Mr. Zinguzzi and anybody else that works on this, my goal to discuss this was to have a proactive approach to plan for our visioning session, right? Because many of us up here over the past year, 2 years, 3 years, or whatever, have come back from that meeting sometimes a little confused about what the accomplishments were. And at the same time, I see on one of these documents is from 9 years ago. And that's not, I'm not sure, this was edited, just not renamed or saved, but I personally don't want to hold our staff to just the morning of February 29th, because I don't necessarily know if we did what the odd number of years of the long session was last year. So, my ask to the council and anybody is that we allow our staff to prepare a vision session that allows the city council to provide a vision of a council's, whether it's individually so that we can all listen to each other and take however long that takes. So I'm going to block off the whole day. And if it takes the whole day, then, that's, in my opinion, if it's productive, that's an accomplishment. So I just look forward to being proactive about the visioning session. And it sounds like we're already starting by having this tonight. So thank you.
Councilman Bagby.
That's all I had, though.
All right, thank you.
And Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. I'm not sure where the one from 9 years ago came from. This is the one that this council approved. So the one that's 2 pages, that if you'll remember the calendar, where it has the budget actions in there and the strategic planning actions and all, it wraps up into one, and that's this process here where we do the short. This looks like what we probably came, 9 years ago we came up with. And then when I came back on the council, we came up with this, and the council approved it. I would just say, I don't necessarily disagree with you. We ought to be proactive. But here's, as I discussed with the staff today, we have a process. And if we follow the process works. Now, and so the process is, in the odd years, or every 2 years, we do a survey. So every 4 years, it's the citizen survey, and the other 2-year increment, it's the staff survey. So we're in line to do a staff survey this year to basically do a 360 evaluation of how we're performing. And what it does, we take the survey, and that helped us. We also have in the even years, at the end of the even years, an election. And so the reason this process is set up the way it is we will have a new council constituted in November. And in November, they will bring their ideas and the things they ran on and all the issues that are there. And that's when we do next year, next April, or if we want to do it in February or March, that's fine. But we do a long session because then we have a new council and we say, hey, because that way it ties into the adoption of that budget. And we kind of have that plan is the master plan, for lack of a better term, for 2 years. When then we have a new council who bring their ideas or whatever they ran on or didn't run on or ran against or whatever to go through that process. Because one of the principles of strategic planning is you can't jerk an organization this large every year and go, these are our priorities this year, and these are our priorities next year, and these are our priorities, because it takes time, the way the budget cycle is offset, the way our planning, our elections, and all this other stuff dovetails together. It actually works real well if you have a process where you integrate all these elements and the surveys. The surveys are actually very important, and I'm glad we agreed to bring them back. But you have that process to allow the staff to plan, allow the staff to bring back. There's several things that staff members have, come to me and said, we need to do this. I go, okay, well, bring us a resolution or bring us something. I'll sponsor, I'll be the supporter. The R&R plan is a perfect example. We are spending money, but we really haven't seen what our obligations are, long-term obligations are, just to maintain our equipment and our facilities. And so that's kind of important. And, if we want to, I think that's something we need to discuss in what we call the short session or whatever, but we don't need to do a complete redo of the long-term strategic plan every year. We just need to, because it gives the staff some time to breathe and try to figure out what it is we told, oh, I'm sorry, that one's yours. What it is we told them we wanted to do in this document. Okay, so the citizens told us what they wanted. We did a strategic planning, and then we produced this document, and it all comes together in one thing. Can we make tweaks? Yeah, if we have a storm or something, or if we have an emergency, or we have to replace the pump that we seem to have to replace every 3 years, but we don't need to go through the whole shebang, because it just jerks the staff around, and it really jerks the city around. So I would just say, I hear what you're saying. I don't mind having in-depth discussions, and I'm glad we all want to be proactive. I want to be proactive too, but there's a time we have to give the staff and us time to actually assimilate, and the stuff that we decided last March, we're putting in this year's budget, and then we're going to see if we can get it executed this year or not get it executed. And yeah, there may be a parcel of land. I had somebody reach out to me about a parcel that's on the bay. Okay, and I wish I had the money to buy it, but I wish the city had the money to buy it. Yeah, but we can discuss that. Is it still a priority that we want parcels on the water? I think it is. But I don't disagree with you. There's a reason we do a long session and a short session in strategic planning. So that's.
Councilman Gao.
I do agree with Councilman Bagby up to a point. Since last visioning session in strategic planning, I had several meetings with several staff members, and there's a military term that comes to mind, and that's FUBAR. And that session was, I don't feel it was productive. I don't feel we accomplished anything productive out of that. I felt like it was almost a game, if anything. So I would love to give staff under new direction the opportunity to have a long visioning session and help us actually accomplish something this time around, personally. But I do understand your point, beyond a shadow of a doubt, and I agree wholeheartedly. I just think that that last session was ineffective, inefficient, and we need a do-over, in my opinion.
All right, I think the best part so far is I think we're 3 for 3. I think everyone's on the same page.
I just got some follow-ups, if you don't
Oh,
mind.
I'm
So,
This
this is
hold
the
on,
point-
hold
this is why I
on,
put it
no.
on the agenda, so we can talk about it, which
All right,
is-
well, let me
that's-
go
that's
first.
the purpose of, oh, you aren't next, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I was going to give you this floor. I was just going to say together, I agree with, we need to take as much time as possible. I love the process. I do agree with last year's outcomes. I think the only thing, the compromise of all this is, I don't think anyone's going to jerk the top 10, 12 things we have. I think it's getting nitty-gritty, focused, lasered in on the master plan. I think we all can agree with that. So, for the sake of, I'll let you go, but I think we're all saying the same thing in a different way, making sure that the process is right, we've got the intentions right, we want to make sure the time allocation's there. I think we're all saying the same thing, saying what we have on the documents right, now we need to give that further direction so we have that full encompassing master plan so everything does tie together, because we have some major big plans going on, which I would call Destin 3.0. And I think this session, regardless of the time it takes, is us, regardless of the elections coming up, we still have an obligation to give this staff the direction it takes to follow through with the strategic plan that we set forth. So I just wanted to, me listening to all of you guys, I think we're all saying the same thing from our own lens. And so with that, Councilman Schmidt.
Sure, and I agree with you, and I agree with Mr. Bagby on some things. And nobody wants to jerk around the staff, and that's not my intentions, but as Mr. Guile also stated, I don't think we did 10-year goals last year, right? If this is a process, this document right here that you're referring to, we're already not following it because we're going to have the meeting in February. So I assume Mr. Zinguzzi and staff have made the decision to do that instead of April, like this document says. But I don't want to put them in a corner is my only purpose of what I'm trying to say. We all have busy schedules, and if we're asking them to tell us tonight, is it only going to be a 3 or 4 hour meeting? My whole purpose of what I'm trying to say is I don't want to put us in that corner. I don't want to make it black and white. And I don't want to jerk them around either, but I want to do 10-year goals and strategic vision because we didn't do that. And so I just want to make sure we're doing that at our visioning session. So maybe we have to have a hybrid this year or something. So yes, I agree, Mr. Mayor. We're all kind of saying the same thing, but I just don't want to put staff in a corner to only follow maybe this document.
100% agree. I think the
That's
biggest
all
thing we've heard this past year is we got this new harbor parcel, but what does the master plan look like? We are working and trying to work with Publix for a city center, but we have 20 different versions of a city center. So I hope my plan, I hope what we can get out of it as a win for the vision session is we, as the council that's currently here, can agree on the harbor and the city center of what that looks like with the limited funds that we have, because we have spent. So that's just throwing it out there, what I'm hoping to get out of this visioning session. I don't think there's any motion there, we're just talking.
To that point, the city center is the harbor. We decided that when we decided to spend $9 million, and we had that conversation that night. That night, we had that conversation.
Can you repeat that? The city center is the harbor?
Is going to be.
We decided what?
When we voted to spend $9 million and take that out, we had the conversation that.
I don't recall that vote saying that this harbor is a city center.
You may have missed that meeting, I don't know, but were you here the night we voted to buy the $9 million? Okay, because we had that conversation, and we can pull up the tape, but it was, if we spend $9 million, we don't have money to do anything at the Publix thing. Unless they give us,
Pull up the minutes if you want, but we did not say that that's our city center, so I want to be careful how we're putting that on record.
You guys are just attacking it from, he's saying it from a financial, he's saying it from, no, we not made a motion for it. You both, again, we're both right here.
It was a part of the conversation. It was not decided or voted on specifically in a motion. It was a portion of the conversation.
Thus, a visioning session in February sounds lovely. All right, 24 years going on 25. Let's see what we can do. I looked up and went through some of them. In the 2014 visioning session, there's only one thing that they are talking about then that's not talked about now, which is funny. So with that, Councilman Schmidt, you got everything out? All right, I'm going to take that as a yes. All right, so the only thing I have is... I know, there's a lot of things not on the agenda. The only thing I have that's not on the agenda is I'm going to be in Tallahassee for legislation the last week of January, trying to make sure that our ask from Pat Maney, Representative Pat, and all them are good to go. I'm going to be sitting down with some of the state agencies since I'm learning that process. I'm going to try to just be an advocate there, so just letting you guys know there. Not going to deviate from what we've already sent over as our appropriation bills, but just letting you guys know I will be battling on Capitol Hill for our appropriation so we can move some of these projects along. With that, City Attorney.
Thanks, Mayor. So I have two items.
They won't let me have a credit card.
Under my name. The first one is the city manager job description and recommended total compensation range. I believe the HR director has reached out to all of you, and that most of you have seen this job description and total compensation range, but if you have any questions, Jamie is here to answer them, as am I.
Seeing
If
none.
not, then we're looking for you to make a motion to approve it and authorize the HR director to post the position.
Got a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussions, calling the vote. All right, ayes have it unanimously, so moved.
Okay, the second item I have is Resolution 2402. This establishes the City Manager Selection Committee, which would be established to make recommendations to the City Council. They would be non-binding, and I will go through the process really quickly with you all. Do you want to make your nominations first, or would you like me to go through the process?
Hopefully, we've all done our read-ahead, so.
Can we do our nominations first?
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
Starting down with Councilmember Guile.
I nominate the great John Stevens.
Can you,
Do you want to just put them all together?
why don't you vote one by one
One on
so
one?
it's
All right.
clear for the
Second.
clerk?
I got a motion and a second for one John Stevens. All right, congratulations, sir.
And since Councilmember Sweetster made his nomination, do you want to go
Yeah,
ahead and vote
please.
on that one?
Can you voice it for me, please?
Andy, who was the nomination? Jason Belcher.
All right,
Second.
got a motion and a second. Calling the vote?
Do we need the motion? Like, I'll make the motion, or does
Yeah.
Mr. Sweetster, is it
You
officially?
can't make the motion.
Yeah.
You can-
All right, well, I'll make the motion to, in the absence of Matthew Sweetster, to nominate per his text message to IT Director Andy Reid to Jason Belcher as his nominee.
Second
Okay, I
that.
got a motion and a second. Calling the vote. Okay, Kevin, you're the, just confirm. All right, ayes have it, so moved. Good call. Point of order. Look at that. All right, Councilman Destin, without his button on, wants to nominate Chatham Morgan.
Second.
All right, calling the vote. All right, ayes have it, so moved. Congratulations.
I'll nominate Todd Buer.
Motion and a second, calling the vote. All right, it's a sweep. Up next.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Ken Wobbler, right there.
Ken Wampler.
Second.
Calling the vote with a second. I don't know about that. Does he even live here? Ayes have it, so moved.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Lockwood Warnett.
All right,
I'll second that.
motion and a second, calling the vote. I'm probably gonna have to break a tie on this one. There we go, ayes have it, so moved.
Make a motion to nominate Seattle Alderman.
Second.
Motion and a second, calling the vote. Ayes have it, so moved. All right.
Okay, so the general plan is that now that you have authorized the HR director to advertise the job description. She will do that. It will be out on the street for 30 days. After that, she will go through any resumes received, make sure that they meet the very minimum qualifications. Anyone not meeting the very minimum qualifications will not be forwarded to the committee, although the committee will get a copy of the ones that were taken out. The ones that meet the minimum qualifications will be provided to the committee members. They will have 14 days to review the resumes. After that, they will choose who they will do the initial round of interviews to. After they do their initial round of interviews, council members will be able to have individual interviews with the recommended shortlist of the committee. And then we will have a meet and greet, and you can make your motions at a public council meeting.
Yeah, I was going to say that we need I move to adopt Resolution 2402 as presented.
And I'll second that.
All right, any further discussions? Seeing none, calling the vote. Ayes have it, so moved.
That's it for me, thanks.
All right, thank you so much. That's a lot of good information. All right, at this time, we have public comments. Do I have any public comments tonight? Well, Jim, I think you won tonight's lottery. The house always loses around here. All right, meeting adjourned at 7:06.